Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you to the organizers. Everything is running so smoothly, and we can see that there is a lot of work that's been put into this event. So thank you again for getting us all here to beautiful Budapest. For us, it's always a pleasure to be here. Okay, so we continue with the Croatian session. We stay at the Adriatic coast. Our site is on the seaside. Some of you here have already seen some of my slides from the previous congresses, so please bear with me. So the general outline of my presentation is, of course, a very brief description of our site. And I wanted to talk about the demographic profile of this sample and give some remarks, or maybe even more questions than remarks about the site, about the demographic composition, and also about the burial treatment of the individuals from this cemetery. So the temperatures have gone up. This is the beach close to our site. I just wanted to show it because it's a beautiful beach, and I'm guessing that we will all love to be there right now or in the next few days. This is one of the most famous Croatian beaches, the Zlatni Rat, so it's always nice to do a little bit of promotion for your countries. Maybe some of you have even been there. If not, I highly recommend it. So this is the location of our site. It's like I said, it's the southern Adriatic. It's the island of Brač, and it's the present-day town of Bol. Of course, at the period that we are talking about, this was just a local village. And the setting is the Dominican Monastery, and also the Church of Sveta Marija Milosna, or the Our Lady of Mercy would be the translation. Of course, it's a Catholic church. As you can see, this is also a very nice place. The location for the cemetery. These guys knew how to choose their plot, location, location, location. It's basically the whole peninsula that you can see here on the left-hand side was awarded to the Dominicans for the monastery in the 15th century. The monastery is still active. There are 5 monks living there at the moment, so I don't know, maybe your next sabbatical or something might be an idea. It's a really beautiful place. I haven't been, but I hope to get there maybe someday. So a little bit about the time framework. So we have a very precise years for this cemetery, for the burials that we know that are there, because the cemetery was established in 1475. When the Dominicans were granted the ground for the monastery. The local authorities also granted the permission for the village to start burying the villagers there. So we know the precise year of the first burials, and we also know that the cemetery was in use up to 1830, when the French administration stopped the burying there, and the cemetery was moved to this position that you can see here. That then continued practically up to a few years back. So we are looking at more than 350 years of practically continuous use of this cemetery. So this is also the length of our sample. So please bear this number in mind as well. And it is situated in front of the church that is also still active today. This space was and still is a space of very high cultural and religious significance because of all the activities of the monastery and of the monks. So the sample that I will be talking about was excavated recently. There is a total of 120 graves. It is your very normal, expected early modern cemetery. So there is nothing exceptional about it, and that's one of the main threads of my presentation, because everything there is normal. You have the normative burial rite, which is the single inhumation. We only have 3 double burials. I will show them later on the map. And we have 3 mass burials. We are, of course, assuming that they are ossuaries where the older inhumations were put into when they had to, make space for the new ones. You can see from the photos there we're really nothing special in terms of any kind of archaeological by story. Let's put it that way. This is a table with the demographic profile of the sample. You will see that I circled our subadults. I call them subadults generally, so not to get into the discussion about the terminology, but just to indicate the under 20 years. As you can see, the percentage is skewed for the subadults, so we have 72% of subadults versus the 26% of adults in our sample. For me, it was unexpected, but I'm guessing it is also somewhat unexpected for most of you that are used to dealing with human remains. You can also see the age categories, the age groups. Here it is a bit more into detail. So what we found at the cemetery was basically all the age groups, starting with fetal age, so something that we know was gestational period. Those that we can put into the brackets fetal or newborn, because we cannot establish with precision. The little kids and the bigger kids and the adolescents, and then of course the adults. You can see that the expected mortality is peaking at the fetal newborn period and also at the period of 1 to 5 years. So this is something that we would expect and something that we consider to be the most critical periods. Another unusual thing for me while doing the analysis was the very, very low percentage of any kind of pathological changes. So you have this bunch of kids that look perfectly happy, perfectly happy and healthy, but obviously they were not. As you can see, I have a total of 5 individuals with pathological changes. So cribra that you see everywhere, periosteal changes that you also see everywhere, and then one pretty spectacular case of a dental abscess, which maybe is not so usual in kids, but still it is only one example. Or the adults also did not have almost any pathological changes, so it seems, at least on a first glance, like that there was something specific going on there regarding the health status of the community. This is the map of the cemetery. So this is the modern cemetery, and this is the church. You can see that we are here. The green stars are the subadults. I did not divide them into subgroups because there are no regularities. So all the subgroups of subadults are spread throughout all the cemetery, and you can see there is no designated space for the subadults or something like that. You can see them spread all over the cemetery, and you can see also the adults spread among them. I don't know if you can see clearly from the map, but most of the graves have not been cut with newer graves. So even though these 350 years, obviously there was some sort of grave marking, so the community had the knowledge of where the graves were, and they dug the new ones when the new deaths occurred. And this also applies to the children's graves. The 3 double burials that I mentioned, you can see them here and here and here. So one of them is a double burial of 2 children. One of them is 5 to 6 years old, the other one is 8 to 9, and the other 2 are female with a baby of a fetal or a newborn age. So these are the 3 cases. The female and the newborn case was, of course, discovered during the anthropological analysis. It is not something that they caught during the field work, but I figured it out during the analysis, and we are waiting for the DNA analysis. We are, of course, assuming for the moment that they are a mother and a child, because that's the first thing you're going to think. Okay, so regarding the burial rite, we can say that it was very, very uniform throughout the cemetery. So all the burials are, of course, in the supine position. hands crossed on the chest, some of them on the stomach. The only exception is this child here that had the legs crossed at the ankles. All the others had legs put straightly. The predominant orientation is west or east or north to south. There is no difference between adults and children, so we find both in both groups. It's a standard range of burial depth, so no outliers. No one is either very deep or very shallow. We have remains of coffins or nails, of course, also distributed evenly with the adults and with the sub-adults. And we have, of course, very little grave goods. We have some remains of clothing, some personal ornaments, and some coins, also both with adults and both with children. So a very a lot of uniformity with these burials. So my question was, what do you do with this kind of sample? We all know that archaeology and bioarchaeology loves exceptions, you know, because when something is different, you can tell a lot. So bioarchaeology, especially, you know, we love mass burials, we love lots of pathology, we love executions, we love atypical burials, we love deviant burials, you know. The more the merrier, because when you have this kind of data, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. But my question was, what can we actually say when there's seemingly nothing to tell, you know, when it's all normal and when it's nothing different, but you have this big sample? And, you know, is it big air quotes, of course, is it worth doing it? Is it something that can show us something and give us any kind of information? So my conclusions and my remarks are going in that direction. You know, what can you do with this type of material where everything is normal and you cannot see anything? So now a little bit about this percentage of subadults, and I here paraphrased the much quoted paper about where have all the children gone, and here we can ask where have all the parents gone, or we can, or maybe we cannot. So we are of course taught to expect the 30%. The 30% of individuals, it is the number that is considered standard for the historic societies, historic communities. So, of course, what we all think at first is that this 72% is much higher, and we are thinking about an exceptionally high mortality. And then we can, of course, link it to exceptionally high fertility as well in the community. So, here, I think we can discuss this point of mortality and fertility because, first of all, I think that the time period is very important with this kind of cemeteries because 355 years is a really long time. And unless you actually date every one of them, you don't have a real feeling of which period you are talking about. We know that the cemetery was in use throughout this whole period. So this mortality is maybe distributed more normally if you're thinking about smaller time frames. When you have a large number of subadults, you usually also think like an epidemic episode or some catastrophe or something. But I would argue with this type of planned burials, I would not go into that direction because it doesn't seem that way. And I would also question this over-representation of sub-adults because, first of all, the number of years, and then also because another community moment, let's put it that way, that I will come back to on the next slide. Of course, the fact that we basically have no expected pathological changes might point to some periods of very short but very intense diseases that, of course, resulted with fatalities, especially targeting children. I think we can also have in mind these climatic conditions, because the island of Brač is very south and it's quite a warm climate, especially during the summer months. So during the summer months we might expect some peaks in mortality due to a higher pathogen load because of the higher temperatures. But of course we can also connect it maybe to the weaning age of these children. We did some preliminary samples of isotopes, carbon and nitrogen. We targeted this 1 to 5 age group, and we do have very elevated nitrogen levels. So we again have a confirmation for this weaning or pathogen load. So it's a story. It makes sense to put it that way. But I would also question the manner of burying, because in the centuries that we are talking about here, at this cemetery, the island of Brač had several confraternities. So these are the layman associations, let's put it that way, of course, under the Catholic Church, that had members doing, let's put it, active community service, so protecting the members of their community. And they had designated crypts for their members, and the crypts are inside the church. They are still there, and they have not been excavated. So I'm not sure that will ever happen. So it might remain an open question. But I would also argue that maybe the adults are simply in the church, in the designated crypts, because from the historical records, it is clear that basically all adults were members of usually 1 or 2 confraternities. So it was not an option, it was just a standard. So maybe they are in the crypt while the children are out there. So maybe they're just not missing, maybe they're somewhere else, but of course that leaves the questions of the adults that we do have outside. And regarding the burial landscape with more reflection on the children, I still think that we can get some valid conclusions. This was, of course, the burial ground for entire community. We see that continuation even in the new cemetery that was opened in 1830, that we steal both adult graves and subadult graves. We see no atypical or deviant burials. We don't see like a special designated space that Eileen was talking about. We see no difference, at least from the hard data that we see as the burial, we see no difference in burial treatment in any respect. Of course, there might have been some specific rituals based on the social age of the child or on the gender, but we simply do not see them in the archaeological record, and there might have been some exceptional practices as well. We can also say that children of all ages received some form of mortuary ritual, so we can say that they were recognized as members of community. They was recognized as individuals as well, because most of them are in individual graves. They were active participants of the community, and I would also argue even this emotional segment that the community recognized them as fragile, as one of their own, and of course I believe that they were integrated into a family or a wider group, even if we maybe don't see the family plots actually on the cemetery. We also talked about burial of unbaptized children. So here we see no designated area for them. Barbara was also mentioning yesterday maybe some form of baptism ritual that might have been adapted for them, because of course again here we come to the Christian practice of burying of unbaptized individuals, but this was right in front of the church, so the Dominicans must have known what was going on. So either it was accepted in some ways, or the eyes were averted, or some form of social contract for me had to have been happening. And the questions that we maybe might be able to answer at some point in the future is, were the children actually buried on some form of family plots? And of course, were the funerary practices the result of some sort of family decision? Was the family given some sort of choice, or were even the children given some sort of choice in this matter? And with this, I thank you for your attention.